Terrific. Before I start this speech, I want to mention that I do have flashcards. They're notes on my iPad in flashcard form, and I will be referring to them. This is a few references. We have the outline, the structure of the speech. Okay. And I have a timer on me, which I will start right about now. Awesome. So, Pell funded students at UAF, non-Pell funded students at UAF. There is an 18% difference here. What exactly causes this difference is not clear. There have been no surveys or, funded education or research, exactly on what causes this difference between students. So, before I start, I want to mention that I, myself, am a Pell funded student, but I would also like to say that everybody's situation is different. So, like, a student from a poor financial background may have great, even the best academic experience before headed to college, But a student who comes from a wealthy background may or may not have a good education. It's not clear. Everybody's situation is different, and that's something I'd like to highlight before I start. So, the main topic here: does having Pell funding make you a better student or a more determined student to get your 4-year degree? Not exactly. Yes, no, kind of. There's so much information across the board here, and I'm not devaluing this information. I'm saying that there is a difference that has been consistent throughout the years, nationwide. Not only at UAF, but nationwide. It has been a topic covered by PBS News. So, what causes these numbers? What causes this 18% difference? What makes a Pell-funded student less likely to receive their 4-year degree? PBS NewsHour. According to PBS NewsHour, billions of dollars in Pell funding goes to students who do not receive their degree. They also highlight in this news article that these students come from poor financial backgrounds or mid-tier financial backgrounds that do not have the exact academic preparation for them to succeed later on in college, which is a big problem. Compared to a wealthy family that would be able to send their student to a private school that's more focused on educating their children, they may have, a different outcome when they go to college. They may be more prepared. So, once again, I will ask you, does paying for college out of pocket make you a more determined student? No, it does not. Everybody's situation is different. It can or it cannot, depending on the person. So, is this a funding issue? Are students who are going to college not able to pay for college and, food, bedding supplies, anything you need to essentially live or even go to classes? Maybe you're not able to afford a laptop or the tools necessary to run an engineer programming or mechanical engineering program like CAD software, Fusion 360. These are essential tools that students need in their degree, and if they're not able to receive them, usually they can contact somebody, or it can lead to a lack of morale or, a lack of determination, therefore. So, correlation is not causation in this example, or any example when it comes to this topic. The data says that there is a difference across the board between students who do receive funding and those who don't receive funding. A student who does receive funding can be the same as a student who receives funding. Everybody's going to college, everybody's different, everybody comes from different backgrounds. So, third way. Third way is I think it's a left side article report. 2018 analysis by Third Way found that 4-year universities are failing to graduate low and mid-income students who rely on Pell Grants, which is a very pressing issue. Because if you're not able to afford yourself or to even live, then how are you supposed to get through college? Which is clearly unfair, or just what it sums up to be between students. What is causing this? We don't know, once again. It's such a murky area to cover and dive into. PBS says that these do not come from schools that provide the essential resources. There is tons of information. What causes the issues here? Exactly. There is a lack of resources, a lack of college experience, lack of morale, just basic necessities. UAF, here, we saw the 18% difference. This average, like across the United States, is very close to 18%. You are 18% less likely to graduate with a 4-year degree if you are a Pell funded or non-Pell funded student, depending on that difference, which is crazy. So, if we go over this information again, we can draw a few conclusions from this. Private schools versus public schools, academic resources, being able to afford tutors in high school before you go to college, being able to take the SAT or have tutors for the SAT, being able to register for college if you're a poor student. That's the baseline. Paying for it out of pocket does not essentially mean that you are able or more determined to receive your 4-year degree. So with all of this pool of information, we could draw out a few conclusions or averages, and we could see that the correlation isn't exactly causation, but we can kind of draw some lines here. We could see that our demographic and our statistics, compared to the nation's statistics, do draw a line together. They do seem pretty parallel. So I want to go over what I've said here a couple more times. Every student's situation is different from the next. You can be a poor student, you could be a wealthy student, you could still make it through college. Not exactly, man, it's just such a murky area. Students not having the economic resources to make it through college. If you don't have food, if you don't have bedding, if you don't have a way to make it to class in the morning, maybe your campus is large and you have to take the bus and there's like an 18-cent fee. How are you supposed to afford that when you're paying like $20,000 for education? Just the baseline education. That doesn't count dorms, that doesn't count food or the meal plan, transportation, basic necessities that we cannot cover even if we are funded as students. How are we supposed to keep up with the students that come from wealthy backgrounds that do have funding under their belt? How are you supposed to measure that potential? You can't. There is no connection between a wealthy background's potential and a low income's background's potential. There's no connection between paying out of pocket and being a more determined student versus being Pell funded and being a more determined student. If you say that you are handed your education because you are given scholarships, you are wrong. So, summarizing everything that I've said here, students need more assistance with their previous education post-college, not more money thrown at them. You cannot use the tools if you do not have the know-how to use them. Exactly. Like, you cannot build a house if you don't know how to build a house. You're just throwing a tool belt at them and saying, good luck. I mean, good, fair in life, but like, seriously, this is the U.S. education system. We need to be preparing our students before throwing money at them. So start at the root and build your way up to the top. Thank you. It has been 9 minutes and 16 seconds.